let's look at the actual word government. The etymological roots of the word government come from Latin. The Latin verb gubernare, okay, now there was no V in classical Latin. So the sounds, the consonants that the letter V come down to us from were P and B. You could see that they're similar in the phonetic way that you actually make the sound with your lips of P, B, and V. So in Latin, English words like govern, the V would not have been a V then, because again, there's no V in classical Latin. You would see it rendered as B or P. So just like in the word sovereign, there's no V in Latin, the sound would be a P, super, and that becomes sover in the word sovereign. In the word govern, the word in Latin would be gubernare, Gubernare, gubernare. That's the infinitive form of the verb. The first person present tense is guberno, gubernare. And again, in certain Latin texts, in the modern day, you might see this rendered as guvernare, because the B and V are interchangeable phonetic variants of each other. So if you look up guvernare, Guvernare, in a good Latin dictionary, it will tell you that this word was rendered classically as gubernare, Gubernare. So the word gubernare means to control. That's uncontested, and that is where the word govern comes from, to control. To externally control someone else, to govern. This is where we get the term gubernatorial. A gubernatorial election comes directly from the verb gubernare. Gubernatorial means related to a governor or a controller, a governor of a state. And when people elect these people who think that they're authorities, that's called a gubernatorial election, the election of a governor. The second part of government, ment, M-E-N-T, this word, this root component of a word, ment, a suffix, comes from the Latin noun mens, M-E-N-S. It's where we get the word mental from, M-E-N-T-A-L, mental. Because the word mens means mind, the psyche. So, why would they use the term mens as the suffix to mean the state of or the condition of? Every word that has the word ment at the end of it, the word ment, the suffix ment, you tack it onto something to mean the condition of or the state of. So, bereavement is the condition of bereaving something. Containment is the condition of something being contained. And you can go on and on and on with all words that end in M-E-N-T. It's the condition of or the state of. Well, why would the people who structured the English language have made the word that means the condition of or the state of based upon the Latin word mens, mentis, which is the mind? Well, a state of control can only first come about when that idea of controlling people occurs in the mind. And it is perpetuated through the control of the mind, which is exactly what the word government means. The verb to control is at the beginning, and at the end, the word mind. So you can say the state of mind that leads to control, or you can say actually controlling the mind and therefore creating the control that manifests as a result of controlling the mind. However you want to look at it, it's still valid. That is a valid etymological breakdown of the word government. And it's more clearly helps people to understand that any noun that we use that ends in ment means the condition of or the state of, because that condition or state had to first exist as a mental construct. Hence, the makers of the English language deliberately chose the noun mens as that suffix. So slide number 17 simply puts up the word mind control on top of this picture of the Congress building to help people to understand, yes, indeed, the word government does in fact mean mind control. That's what it means. You have to be under mind control to believe in it. Slide number 18. The whole concept of government rests on the belief, the religious belief called authority. If you believe in this belief, you are a member of a religion. Your religion is government if you believe in authority. Whether you know that or understand it or not, you're a religious follower, because government is also a religion. Authority is based upon a concept called jurisdiction, that where you are born, you are a subject of the laws of that place, the man-made written laws. And everybody will tell you, oh yeah, you're subject to jurisdiction. Jurisdiction also comes from Latin roots, the noun jus juris in Latin. In Latin, there really was no J. So actually in classical Latin, I wrote it down as J-U-S, but it would be actually written I-U-S. And juris would be I-U-R-I-S, the genitive form. Jus juris means law. It's where the English word justice comes from. You know, we get the word jury from jus juris in Latin. Second part, diction, comes from the Latin verb dicto dictere. Dictere means to speak or to say. So what jurisdiction actually means, based upon its etymological roots, is to say the law, to speak the law. Literally, it means the law is what we say it is. We speak the law. Literally, that's what it means. We say what the law is. What this all boils down to, moving on to slide 20 now, is slavery. That's what this is. The concept of authority, that some people are the masters, who make up the rules, who say what the law is, and other people have to obey them. It's called slavery. I don't care whether your notion of slavery is just the ball and chain version and you think that's the only form. You're wrong. The concept of authority is slavery. The concept of government is slavery. The concept of taxation is slavery. The concept of prohibition is slavery. The concept of not being allowed to exercise your rights because somebody else tells you you can't, and they're saying you have to obey them when they say you can't exercise that right, is slavery. You're living in it. We didn't defeat slavery because we defeated the ball and chain version of slavery. You're still in slavery. The concept of authority, quote unquote authority, is an illusion. It is not real. It is an illusion. It is based in belief. It is not based in nature. It is an illusion of a diseased psyche. In other words, a diseased and imbalanced mind that is based entirely in violence and built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief, not truth but belief, that some people are masters who have the moral right to issue commands while others are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey the masters. That is what government is, that is what authority is, and there is no better definition for slavery than that. Some people are masters who have the moral right to issue commands, and other people are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey the master's commands. That is the very definition of slavery. And if you can't conceive of the notion that this is what slavery is by definition, I will only say there is something wrong with your brain. You can understand where a person's brain is at by the nature of what they say they believe. So if somebody says, I believe in authority, I automatically know you're not mentally well. You're sick. If someone can't pick up something that weighs a pound, their muscles cannot be operating properly. Because all human beings have the capability of picking something up that weighs 1 pound, unless there's something wrong with their physiology. Well, the same thing is true. If somebody really understands what slavery is, they cannot support it. If somebody has a balanced brain, they know what slavery is, and they know that it's based in the concept of authority. So anybody that believes in authority cannot have a properly functioning brain. If you want to do something to get your mind well, learn that all forms of authority and government are slavery and always have been. You need to break down the conditioning that has led you to that erroneous belief system. And that's all it is. It's an erroneous, religious, dogmatic belief that has no basis in nature. It has no basis in the real, no basis in truth. Because what you have to accept to believe that notion is that people are slaves, rightfully. That the concept of slavery is something that is right and should continue indefinitely. That is what everyone who is a statist believes, whether they know it or not. They may not even be consciously aware of that. And everyone who is a statist has brain damage in some form or fashion at some degree or another. They have not healed their psyche.